I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey you guys, and happy Friday. I'm coming to you today with my little co-host for the first time, and I don't know how this will go. We're just gonna have to see, but if it's fun, we could do it a few other times. He may have something to say. He's been very vocal this afternoon. He's staring very intently at the microphone at the moment, but anyway, as you probably know by now, the Queen of England has passed away. And so the vast majority of today's episode will be focused on that. This is just one of those moments that is going to define our lifetime. We'll see the transition from a Queen of England to her son, the King. The British monarchy, for all its many flaws, is one of the longest running monarchies in the world, and Elizabeth was one of its longest rulers. Like I said before, the vast majority of today's episode will be spent going over the details of this enormous public figure's passing, as well as what it means for the future of England. But before we get into that, I wanted to let you guys know that if you're in California, there's a hurricane headed your way. So this week, California has really had it with all the extreme weather, whether that's extreme heat, new wildfires raging, and now Hurricane K hurtling towards them. They are expected to get a year's worth of rainfall in just the next 36 hours. That is not a low-key storm system, y'all. There will also be strong winds, flash floods, and dangerous ocean conditions. We wanted to be sure to cover this storm on today's episode to make sure everyone in California that we know of is aware of this storm. So stay safe out there, Cali fam. And now, without further ado, let's discuss this passing of a major monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. Let's start with the details. Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth II, monarch of the United Kingdom, died peacefully at age 96 yesterday at her home in Balmoral Castle, Scotland, surrounded by family, including Prince Charles, her heir to the throne. The day prior, the Queen had actually pulled out of some important meetings, citing that she was under medical advisory to rest. The palace had announced earlier yesterday that the Queen's medical team was quote-unquote concerned about her health, but little else beyond that in typical British fashion. We still do not know the exact nature of her death, but that brings me to Philip. At the end of the day, a beloved husband of hers had died himself not long ago, and the two had spent 74 years together as husband and wife, and we cannot underestimate the toll that losing him might have taken on her. He died in April of 2021, just last year, and it's almost like the Queen was holding out to get through her 70th Jubilee celebrations and then left us to rejoin her prince. It's also important to know and kind of explore today that England is actually going through a lot of changes right now. If you remember, there is a newly elected prime minister living in number 10 Downing Street, their version of the White House. Liz Truss was just sworn in by the Queen this past Tuesday as her final public engagement before her passing. Truss came outside of 10 Downing Street to give remarks on the Queen's passing, acknowledging the end of the Second Elizabethan age, and ending with a quote, "God save the King," end quote. And that brings me to my next line of discussion. King and Queen Consort take the throne. We have lost one of the world's few female leaders. So today it will be made official. Prince Charles, formerly Prince of Wales, will now officially be made the King of England. And one of the most powerful female roles globally will be taken over by a dude, much to our chagrin. However, it's tradition, and at least there's a female prime minister right now to balance things out, right? Anywho, Queen Elizabeth first took the throne back in 1952 when things were a little different, huh? Like no internet, no cell phones, etc., etc. The list goes on. She is the world's second longest serving monarch, second only to King Louis of France, who served about 2 years longer than she did. She oversaw 15 different prime ministers, including the famed Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady. She was really the symbol of stability for her country, facing wars, a pandemic, and now an economic crisis. But now the country will have to carry on without her, with Charles at the helm. Will it change anything? Only time will tell. He will have a formal coronation ceremony in the coming months with much pomp and circumstance once Queen Elizabeth has been properly mourned and celebrated. Next up, Biden, Trump, and Obama all pay their respects, with flags flown at half-staff. Leaders world over are sending their condolences to Great Britain today, but especially the United States, which has always had a special relationship with the country. Biden put out a lengthy White House statement referencing hearing her on the radio when she was just a princess. He noted her, quote, "unmatched dignity and consistency," end quote. He also ordered that all American flags be flown at half-staff until her internment. Presidents Trump, Obama, Clinton, Bush, and Carter all put out their own statements as well, recounting their personal experiences with the Queen. She met with 14 different sitting U.S. presidents over the course of her reign. And speaking of reign, spelled R-A-I-N, we have to discuss the rainbows. As Brits flocked to their country's landmarks to grieve their queen, they noticed something pretty incredible. It was described as a, quote, "sadness in the air, but a magic in the skies," end quote, by Newsweek. London is known for some pretty gloomy, dark weather, but on this occasion, multiple rainbows seemed to appear at the same time, one over Windsor Castle, then a double rainbow over Buckingham Palace shortly after, and then one happened also at Balmoral Castle, where the Queen passed away as well. It gives me chills just to think about this, guys. The British people, and no doubt her family as well, are taking heart right now from this act of nature, and maybe even a fond farewell. And that is the news du jour. So I think we'll probably be doing many a Queen Elizabeth quote next week as well, because there's so many good ones. But let's go ahead and start off with this one. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "The world is not the most pleasant place. Eventually, your parents leave you and nobody is going to go out of their way to protect you unconditionally. You need to learn to stand up for yourself and what you believe, and sometimes pardon my language, kick some ass. Rest in peace to Queen Elizabeth II. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider becoming a patron of our podcast. For $7.99 a month, you can unlock tons of perks like breaking news text messages so that you're never out of the loop. Tons of bonus episodes are already up there ready for you to binge, and a discussion board full of networking opportunities and much more. Go to www.patreon.com/sugarfree media today to become a patron. This is the best way to support our show. Our patrons make News du Jour possible. But a couple other ways to support our podcast are rate and review on whatever podcast platform you use to listen, share on your social media, you have influence, tell your friends, family, and colleagues that you love News du Jour and why you listen. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram, just sugarfreemedia, all one word, on TikTok, and sugarfree_media on Twitter. We also have a weekend newsletter called Dreamers Digest that's full of dreamy content recommendations for your weekend and a life update from yours truly. Sign up today on our website, www.sugarfreemedia.co. Our music is by Joey Lavoie and Nicholas Foster. Our cover art is by Hannah Pierce Photography. Our Sugar Free Media logo is by Catherine Jezik Designs. Any twinkling or little footsteps you might hear in the background are by my dog, Rhett. He's a rescue pup and always records with me. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour. Broadcasting from Oklahoma.